do you check when and apply? Other, all, neither? To assume I'm black is offensive to some. To assume I'm white, nationalists would be appalled. I've never officially fit into the black community. I wasn't black enough, or I talked white, and even white people weren't comfortable around me because to them, I was just black. I connect to black people, but I'm still divided in view of the fact I don't fit most of the standards as legitimately black. And maybe I'm not. But that won't stop me from resisting against social unjust. The only way for us as a community to fight against oppression is education, integrity, and unity. You don't fight racism with racism. The best way to fight racism is with solidarity. Bobby Seale. Without education, you're not going anywhere in this world. Malcolm X. My friend's mom is a conservative. She's a minority and a woman in America, but supports the one person who's going against her rights. She told me she doesn't support Biden or Trump, although she believed Trump is better fit to be president. She clearly was not doing her research. She talked about how he's a better businessman. Trump has had multiple bankruptcies. He's in an $8 million debt, and the people he has partnered with claimed he was terrible to work with. Instead of her acknowledging that information, she goes on to bash Joe Biden and his views on what he wants to do as president. Ignorance is bliss. She voted for Donald J. Trump solely because Sleepy Joe said he's going to raise taxes. I couldn't get that out of my head for weeks, concerning if I should end a friendship over misfed info. I know she's not a racist, and political views do not terminate a relationship with the exception that they are not the oppressors. We just have to stay unified and educated. In 2017, Trump passed a bill where people who make under $75,000 will have their taxes raised in 2021 and every 2 years after that until 2027. While the rich get richer and the poor continue to struggle, Biden plans to raise taxes for people who make over $400K. Biden's plan had nothing to do with her. She should have done her research instead of making a huge decision like voting against her own well-being and every other oppressed person in the U.S. Education is our prerequisite to unity. Do your research. Make a change.
I have always really enjoyed playing video games, and my parents and others have always warned me about the repercussions of being on a screen for too much. For the most part, I ignored them, thinking they were just trying to get me to stop. As the years went on, I did my own research and discovered that it was true. When I heard about online schooling, I wondered if it was safe. I went all over the internet and read some books that spiked my interest. I found out while it is safer than normal school because it keeps students and teachers from spreading the pandemic, online school may still be a detriment to us. From my research, I learned that starting and staring at a screen for too long can cause headaches, nausea, and problems with eyesight. We have started to force these on young children that can't decide for themselves. I feel that we should be concerned about the effects that this could have on children mentally and physically. I think that online schooling will have a major side effects in the future. As I looked over the three studies, I found three major recurring themes in my work. The first was constant headaches. Over the three articles, I found many people reporting that they have headaches after sitting in front of a computer for too long. They reported that they had very major headaches from anywhere from 1 to 2 hours after getting off the computer. They had reported that in most cases, after an hour, it would it would most likely subside, leaving only a slight headache. Constant lag was another problem. Students reported that they had constant problems with lag on their computers. Many couldn't open a new tab or Google Docs that were previously open. If they were open and available, it was very difficult to type anything or do anything on this tab. This could be an issue because it could cause students left to get left behind if teachers don't wait for students' computers to load. It could also cause frustration, which would be distracting. My con- my final constant theme was eyesight. Many people experience blurry vision. Many people also experience strain on their eyes. The blurriness lasted from all day to just a few hours, while the strain lasted for days to weeks without end. What I would like to see is for the next president to put some rules in place to help children and teachers alike with online schooling. I want them to limit amount of school mandated time, limit the amount of school mandated time we spend on the computers. I would like to see them put in safer ways of teaching us without risk of damaging our eyes or getting COVID. These are my hopes and reasons for why I think that online education may not be as safe for everyone. as everyone seems to think.
Do people know everything that happens out there at the world? I don't think so. Events get replaced by more important events. That's how it works in the news. However, an issue that has passed the minds of many Americans is the embargo of Cuba. This embargo has made the lives of many Cuban citizens even worse than it already is. I believe that the president should try and understand the circumstances of the people living in the island of Cuba. If you cut off much of the profit that they gain from American tourism, then that greatly affects the economy, which impacts the people. Having a disagreement with the way Cuba is governed has put the people at risk. Not only do these restrictions impact the government, but the citizens as well. Cuba may be a communist country, however, that doesn't give a good reason to make the people living in Cuba suffer. We should find another way of trying to convert the Cuban government from being communist. If your life was full of suffering due to someone trying to help you, would you thank that person? Would you constantly allow that person to continue to make you suffer while they state to others all the good deeds they have done for you? This despair has been going on since 1962. The United States maintains a comprehensive economic embargo on the Republic of Cuba. In February 1962, President John F. Kennedy proclaimed an embargo on trade between the United States and Cuba in response to certain actions taken by the Cuban government and directed the Department of Commerce and the Treasury to implement the embargo, which remains in place today. On June 16, 2017, President Trump issued a national security presidential mandate on strengthening the policy of the United States towards Cuba. These restrictions aren't working. It has been years, and all this embargo is doing is hurting the citizens instead of helping them. The worst part is that the Cubans have been dealing with these restrictions for years, and it's because of our presidency. Do you remember your bullies from school, and the kid who saw them mistreating you, but did nothing? Nothing was said, as if it had never happened. Do you want to be that little kid who said nothing? It's your choice.
At roughly age 7, I just knew that no matter what, my kind was never accepted. Although it wasn't in my face, I could tell my family of immigrants had different morals and lives compared to my classmates. My kind was never going to be looked at the same level of a white person. We will always be at the bottom of the pyramid. In upper elementary, I was introduced to the fear and danger most immigrant families felt. I started to understand why my parents got so nervous and anxious around the police and were hesitant to answer, "Are you a U.S. citizen?" Panic and fear runs through many immigrant families. They're distressed to worry about their new life in the U.S. being taken away from them, which is why I think families should not be divided and separated. Immigrant families live in terror and discomfort from the police because they know if they are detained, they will leave behind their children, house, and all of the years of labor to move ahead behind. Children should not watch their parents be put in handcuffs and taken away. Behind the doors at inhumane detention centers, they lack proper living conditions. According to reports from the U.S. and Customs Border Protection, the people that are detained in these centers don't receive enough food, water, sleep, and medical needs. These immigrant families eat frozen packaged food, which isn't even enough to fill up their hunger. Water in the detention centers is scarce. It is dirty and unsanitary. These people are kept in dirty, cruel cages. They are living and being treated like animals. Since these people sleep on cold concrete hard floors with not even a blanket to keep warm, they get extremely sick, especially the younger ones. They don't have the same immune system as an adult. It's more easier for them to end up catching a fever, the flu, and pneumonia. One case, for example, is a 2.5-year-old boy, Wilmer Josue Ramirez Vasquez. Wilmer died from pneumonia a month later after being detained. He and many other young children around his age have died from being extremely ill and not receiving medical help. Especially now with COVID, these centers are basically disease cages. Once these people are in here, they're pretty much counting their days. These places are packed with people so they can easily contract this deadly virus. People come into the US for a better life. For them to leave everything behind and enter a foreign place and then end up being isolated away from their families in inhumane, degrading cages is morally wrong. I hope that this new president will have a better way on how to take these people in. If people are living at these centers, they need to change these conditions. They're animals. They're humans who also deserve the same amount of respect and dignity. My hope is that the president doesn't let another innocent baby die in the arms of their parents.
Since I was young, my mom decided to teach me that no guy should ever lay a hand on me without consent. And I can't blame her. When I was in elementary, a kid did touch me inappropriately. He was 2 years older. I thought it'd be the first and last time, but it happened again and again. I love to say I said something every time, but I didn't. Truth be told, I don't know how to start the conversation, and I've always been the type of person who feels uncomfortable when a guy stares at me the wrong way. So to tell my mom, it made me vulnerable and scared. I'm not used to it. The times I did tell her, I felt weird, scared, and embarrassed, which is why I feel such sympathy for victims of sexual assault. I have such strong, complex feelings whenever I remember those situations. So to be raped and have bruises and cuts left all over your body, only to be silenced, I cannot imagine the pain and distress they must feel. In some cases, women become pregnant and face a decision I'm sure nobody wants to have to face. Do they continue with the pregnancy or do they abort the child? This is where pro choice and pro life movements come in. Pro-choice believes a woman should have the right to decide if they want the child or not. Pro-life believes abortion should be banned and that the baby has rights, that abortion is just as equal to murder. I believe that it's the woman's body, so it's her choice. I understand where the people who are pro-life come from. Some have religious beliefs and consider abortion a sin, and some believe the baby has full rights. But where I'm coming from is that people don't have the financial resources all the time. Some don't want to face the fact that the father took advantage of her. Some simply have to deal with the fact that the natural bodies cannot have babies without themselves dying. I've heard the pro-life argue that you could put the child for adoption. There are lots of families who would love to start a new family, but what I think is that babies are not like the new iPhone. You don't get to say, no, I want the newer one. Why can't people adopt the ones who don't know what love is, the ones who have been abused over and over again? This president should allow abortion to be legal, protect our rights as women deserve. A government with no knowledge of the private lives of those women shouldn't be deciding the choice of the woman. This president should ban the denial of abortion to women. Unless the result of the abortion would harm the mother, then the procedure should not be denied. I believe the next president should support those who face this decision. If abortion is banned, there would be so many deaths due to underground procedures gone wrong. According to the World Health Organization, abortion is only safe procedure if using the WHO-regulated method by a specialist. If abortion is banned, the procedure will go underground and cause a tragic amount of deaths. This world can be a beautiful place, but it contains issues that need to change. So just remember that people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones who do. Steve Jobs.
Right now, we are facing an issue that can do extreme harm to our way of life. We are in imminent danger as the climate gets warmer, the livability of this planet is deteriorating. It is very possible in the near future, Earth will be uninhabitable and humans will be forced to find another planet to live on. We are facing a crisis like we've never seen before, and we need to do something about it. Before I get to the action needed, I would like to describe how nature is a very positive portion of my life. Throughout my life, I've loved nature and just being outside. The feeling of the wind hitting my face and the sound of the leaves soaring around just appeals to me. It is just so perfect. Whenever I'm in nature, a sense of calmness and relaxation just comes over me. It really is my happy place. I'm lucky because I have access to the woods right near my house, so I can go there whenever I'd like. It truly is a blessing. Right now, we have forests across the world burning. I'm horrified hearing about this. Large parts of Earth are on fire. People should be frightened by this. Earth is slowly going up in flames, and we're just watching from the sidelines. Just imagine you're the person sitting in their living room, watching the large blaze get closer and closer to your home, having to make the decision whether to stay and risk your life or leave everything you worked for behind. You can't turn on the TV without seeing something about the continuing extensive damage to our environment and the horrendous effects they're facing. Luckily, I've never seen this firsthand, but I know it's a very real possibility. It baffles me that our environment is getting destroyed and people are just turning a blind eye to it. This is the fight of our generation, and we must face up to it and really give it our best shot. Experts like Alan I. Lesher, who headed the American Association for the Advancement of Science for over 15 years, have said that climate is changing as a result of humans, and we really need to move swiftly to slow it down. He described the need for action as urgent. Just take a moment and think about what's happening around the world. Tropical storms are becoming way stronger and way more frequent than ever before. They're taking lives and turning them upside down. The changing weather patterns have disrupted farmers and caused food shortages, which are only starting and will continue to get way worse. Studies have shown that farmers' harvest could yield up to 35% less food by the year 2100. This decline will come at the same time as an increase in population, with potentially 3 billion more mouths to feed. The 2000s decade was the warmest decade in the history of record keeping. Forests are being decimated, and the air we are breathing is getting to disgusting levels. Our existence as a civilization is at risk every day. The air we breathe, the air we rely on to simply live, is being threatened. This needs to end. Ecosystems around the world are being shattered. The coral reefs might be completely gone by the year 2050. Species are going extinct left and right. Earth has never seen something like this before. Significant evidence has shown that some of the damage done to this planet is already permanent. It is truly alarming that our planet is getting destroyed and people can just act like nothing is happening at all. We have to fight this battle on two fronts: stopping what hasn't gone too far and dealing with what has already been done. The next president needs to put in policies that will make everyone halt the damage they are doing. The loopholes that allowed many groups all across the globe to avoid all the regulation put in place need to be closed so the issue can be lessened. We can't be in this fight alone. We need action all across the board when facing climate change. After everything is said and done, there's only one Earth. We have to value it and cherish it, not destroy it and treat it like it's expendable.